political spectrum one. I'm on my own here. I don't have anyone else to assist me, so it's just going to be me talking for a bit, but that'll be fine, I'm sure. I'll just upload this to YouTube at some point. Sorry. Okay, so since this is on my phone, I can't provide any images of what I'm doing. Like I can't live stream what I'm currently doing. So we'll just have this picture of Nigel for any images of what I'm doing. So we'll just have this picture. Anyway, yes, that's too loud. All right, that's better. Hold on, let me try and make that mic a bit less buzzy. Alright, that's as good as it's going to get. Anyway, the first question is corporate taxes should be as low as possible to encourage more investment. Well, yeah. The options for this are strongly agree, unsure, disagree, and strongly disagree. For the most part, well, actually, I completely, wholeheartedly agree to that because yeah, if your taxes are as low as possible, your corporate taxes being as low as possible is obviously going to encourage more investment. I mean, obviously, the government will make less money in tax off of them, but the government already squanders the tax that they do make, so I don't see a problem with that. So yeah, I strongly agree to that one. Alright, marijuana and other recreational drugs should be legalized. No, I've talked about this before. I don't think any drugs, any illegal drugs or recreational inverted commas drugs should be legalized because they have a damaging effect on society and culture. They encourage a society of recklessness and generally just people not caring. I don't think that legalizing any recreational drugs is a good idea. So I'm gonna. And that's as someone who's dabbled in said recreational drugs. I'm not some prude, but you know, strongly disagree. Affirmative action and quotas are good systems to ensure equality for the disadvantaged. No, because affirmative action is by all means an unfair and a potentially racist, if you want to look at it that way, system. Because one, affirmative action isn't fair for people who aren't, but basically it's moving this perceived privilege, inverted commas, that white people have over the other races and just transferring it to other races over white people. You know, like black people getting into university easier, and then Asian people find it harder to get into university, and whites remain unchanged. It has two sort of bad damaging effects. One, I think it literally just makes it easier if you're a black person to get into university. Like, oh, look at the colour of my skin. Oh, I can get into uni a lot easier. And two, it can make people get into university placements that they're not prepared for because they get in at a lower mark. So they're not actually properly equipped to do that course, that job, that specification or whatever. And because of this program, they get into that. Plus, affirmative action is just fucking bullshit. Slavery ended hundreds of years ago. There's no need to keep going on as if blacks are actually any more disadvantaged than whites. In fact, whites are more disadvantaged than blacks these days, considering there's a quota to hiring and such. So, affirmative actions and quotas are good systems to ensure equality for the disadvantaged. Strongly disagree, because it just ends up with a proportional number of people who are disadvantaged. Citizens must always support their country's military troops. Well, not always. If your military troops, I mean, I'm one for I support a very strong military. I think that defense spending is very important, and I think that every modern country needs to spend a lot of money on their defense and on their military. But if your military was taking part in, say, a coup against the government, and you strongly disagreed with what they were doing, or even any war that they were being thrust into that you strongly disagreed with, I don't think you should always support your country's troops. However, I do think that nationalism is indeed very important, but not so important that you would just blindly follow troops, regardless of what they're doing. So Citizens must always support their country's military troops. I would disagree with that one. Yeah. A good tax system acts to redistribute money towards those who need it. Well, yes, I suppose. I mean, I am completely against taxation, but if you need some sort of form of taxation, then yes, theoretically, that's what the good tax system would do. But again, that's not what taxation's ever done. Taxation isn't about redistributing money, it's about making money. So, yeah, I suppose I agree with that, but I only agree with that in the context of the question, because I don't agree with taxation, or at least income taxation in the first place, and that's the taxation system it's talking about. So, I guess I'll agree, but not strongly. Right, a leader must be strong and at times make hard decisions without consultation. Well, yes, it wouldn't be a leader. He or she wouldn't be a leader unless they could make good hard decisions without consultation. Like, yes, it's important to consult Parliament and such, and consult advisors and the public as a Prime Minister making decisions for the country. But some decisions are they're spur of the moment, or they're just not important enough to ask the public or to go through Parliament, but maybe too urgent or not urgent enough to consult other members of your board. So you have to make these decisions yourself and make sure you make the right decisions. Like, you look at like what Trump's doing with like pulling out of the Paris climate thingamajigger, where he obviously consulted people, but he didn't go through Congress. He was just like, yeah, I think this is the right course of action. That was a horrible analogy, but anyway. Yeah, of course a strong leader must be strong, and at times make hard decisions without consultation. Strongly agree. Right, the government should not intervene in the markets. Generally, no. The government should never intervene in the markets, because it causes inflation and such, but it said should not intervene. Again, generally not, but they'll have to at some point, or they might have to at some point, and I wouldn't be against government intervention as long as it's not excessive and as long as it doesn't damage the market. Government intervention in a minimum sort of, I don't know, in a very limited way, yes, I agree with it, but not strong. So I disagree with the statement the government should not intervene in the markets, but only slightly, because I think that in general, yes, but in some extreme cases and such, yes, they need to. So I'll disagree. The state's duties should minimised as much as possible. The state's duties should be minimised as much as possible. That's not what it says, but I'll just correct it. Well, yeah, generally, I'm not a libertarian or anything. I'm quite authoritarian, but as much as possible, yes. But I think the state should have quite a say in what happens in their country. I don't believe in this sort of society where the state is. I'm not a classic conservative. I don't believe that you should just have a state that basically just lets you get on with it, because I don't think people are smart enough to make their own decisions. So I think I might disagree with that. I mean, I think the state should have an important role in society. I think the state should have I don't know, there's two sides to that, because one, I believe in complete free speech and I don't believe in censorship. I believe in freedom of expression and such, so I don't think the state should be cracking down on things like that, but I do think the state should have more of an active interest in the wishes and feelings of its people or whatever. So I don't think the state's duties should be minimised as such. I think I'll just say unsure for that one. Or no, I don't want to say unsure, that's a cop-out. I'll just disagree that I think that their duties should be minimised as possible. Should be as minimised as possible. My race has inherently superior qualities to those of others. That's a touchy one, strongly agree. Money should be taxed in accordance with ability to pay and distributed in accordance with needs. If you're going to have an income taxation system, because every time it says tax, I just assume it says it's talking about income taxation. So from that perspective, money should be taxed in accordance with ability to pay and distributed in accordance with need. Yes, if you're going to have an income taxation system, you shouldn't have one that's unfair, that disadvantages people, but at the same time you shouldn't have a system where the rich people are having to pay 80% of their income, whereas poor people only need to pay 10%. You want an equal system so that everyone's paying the same percentage, or at least I think so, but it's not an opinion shared by most of the left in Scotland. So But in general, yeah, it should be taxed in accordance with ability to pay, and distributed with accordance with... I think I just strongly agree with that. That's kind of a lefty principle, but yeah, I strongly agree. Economic policy should favour corporations as their earnings will trickle down to the rest of society. Generally, yeah, I agree with that statement. Yeah, I don't think I need to go into that one too much, other than what's good for the most successful corporations is ultimately good for us. That's a statement I agree with, but in a loose way, in a sort of loose way. But then again, I don't know, because the more I think of it, the more I think that the general people should be the targets for economic policy. But at the same time, the general public are stupid morons who don't know what they want or what they need. So that makes me agree with that statement. Yeah, I'm going to agree, but not strongly. Media censorship is sometimes necessary for national security. Again, completely against censorship, but in some ways, yes. I don't think... I want the government to be open with its citizens as possible, but and I agree with things like Edward Snowden, his leak, and I agree with Julian Assange and like WikiLeaks, but yeah, media censorship is sometimes necessary. I don't think you should try and quash stories that have already happened, but I do think that you shouldn't release some stories into the public because it's just a bad idea. Like, you don't want to tell the fucking public that you're going to go in and you're thinking about invading this country at this date and this is where your troops are going to be deployed. So yeah, it is. I'll agree. Abortion should be legal in the majority of cases. I strongly disagree. Again, I've said this before, not from a moral not from an ethics standpoint. As you say, I don't think that like the fucking embryo is a child instantly or anything like that. I just think that allowing abortion in most cases leads to a society of recklessness, where people don't value anything and they just think, oh, it's fine, I can just go off and be and just have sex with some random person and just participate in degenerate activity because it's fine, I'll just get it aborted if anything goes wrong. I don't think that's a good thing. I think on top of recreational drugs and legalising prostitution and these sort of questions, abortion ties in. Same with gay marriage, where I think it creates a culture and a society of recklessness and of hedonism. So I strongly disagree that it should be illegal in most cases. Young people should be required to serve a term of military or national service. Yeah, I think so. More and more, I think so, because people just, again, not that I would join the military myself, but or I wouldn't willingly, but I think it is a good thing. I think national service should be brought back, yes, because the majority of the populace have absolutely no life experience. Or not the majority of the populace, but a large percentage of the populace grow up without any real life experience and sort of bounce from, they sort of just, I don't know how to word that. They participate in life in only the most minimum of ways, and as such, national service is something that could open a lot of doors for some young people, and also teach people the value of living in such a free country, and stop people fucking criticising capitalism over and over. Not that I'm a firm supporter of capitalism, but this whole small doggo, I'm a communism. When you're heckin' mad about capitalism, shit would stop immediately, because people get introduced to the real world and realise that their protective bubble doesn't save them from, spoils of war. So for that one, yeah, I strongly agree, actually. Although I actually wouldn't want to myself, I would still agree, just for the greater good. Strongly agree. Alright. Barriers to international trade should be reduced or eliminated. No, I don't think so. Well, it depends what barriers you're talking about. Are you talking about barriers as in, like, protectionism? Or are you talking about barriers as in, like, I don't know, us not trading with certain countries? Because if you're talking about... Well, both of them I can have the same answer for. If you're talking about protectionism, I believe in protectionism because I think taxing imports, taxing exports is a good idea, and placing trade sanctions on certain countries is also a good idea. And as well as trading with your enemy, you shouldn't I don't think the UK or the US or any major country should trade with Saudi Arabia or Iran, but they do. So I don't think they should be reduced or eliminated. I think sanctions should be fucking, increased exponentially. So barriers to international trade should be reduced or eliminated. Strongly disagree. Helping the poor should be done through private charity, not welfare. Private charity isn't really an effective way of helping the poor. If you have genuine poor people and not just people living off benefits because they can't be bothered working, we're thinking about actual disadvantaged people. You can't really rely on private charity to help them, because not all people are that generous, so that pot would run out very quickly. But at the same time, I don't think the benefit system is effective in its current incarnation, because it's so unlimited that people can potentially just live off of it for the rest of their lives. Well, I say potentially, people do just live off of it for the rest of their lives. It's supposed to be a stepping stone. It's not supposed to be welfare is supposed to be a bed and breakfast, not a fucking, not a mortgaged household. You're not supposed to live there for the rest of your life, and you're not supposed to live off of benefits for the rest of your life. You're supposed to start on them until you get something else. And it's such, but that kind of goes against my welfare argument, because private charity, I just don't think it's as effective as welfare, but welfare's fucked as it is, so helping the poor should be done through private charity, not welfare. I'll disagree, but not strongly. Workers should always have the right to join a labour union without their employees' interference. I'm very against unions, because I think that once you sign a contract and you agree to work for a certain amount of money, certain amount of time, certain employer, through certain sanctions, blah 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 blah, you should stick to that, and I don't think you should fuck over businesses by going to unions. I don't think unions should have any powers at all. I think your contract, your rate of pay and such should be decided by your employer, and if you don't like it, well, sorry, don't work for them. Very simple. In any case, no, I strongly disagree. I don't think they should. Yeah, strongly disagree. The government should not fund arts programs. No, they shouldn't. I mean, I agree that they shouldn't fund them, but I don't strongly agree. I mean, it's yeah, it's obviously arts programs are by and large a waste of fucking time and money, but I'm not so against it. I don't think that should ever happen. So yeah, I'm just gonna say agree for that. Strict immigration restrictions should be put in place to maintain our national culture. Strongly, 100%, all my heart agree. Again, I'm not fundamentally against immigration, but I am fundamentally completely against immigration from incompatible cultures, which these days you might as well just say immigration. I'm not against, again, I always use this example, but if a bunch of French people, or a bunch of German people, or a bunch of Swedish people, or a bunch of, Austrian people, or a bunch of Central European people, asked, sorry, I lost my train of thought. If a lot of people from Western civilized first world countries wanted to immigrate to our country, then yeah, because we share the same way of life, so they could easily integrate. Whereas Muslims and people in the Middle East cannot, and as such they should immigrate to other countries around them, like countries that aren't fucking war torn, because not every country not every country is war torn in the Middle East. Like, you can go to somewhere nicer. You don't need to just come here. And I don't think I think we should have completely closed borders for now, because I don't know. I don't know. I just keep losing my train of thought. We should have completely closed borders, because the people that are immigrating over here from completely different cultures and as such don't integrate and want to kill us. Because their cultures their culture isn't about tolerance, their culture is about Islam, and Islamic culture is better than Western culture, full stop. So, strict immigration restrictions. should be put in place to maintain our national culture. Strongly agree. Political parties which are a risk to national security should be banned. What does it mean, a risk to national security? In what way? Like, what do you mean? What, you mean actual fucking terrorists? Because I don't really know. I don't know what you Yeah, I don't know what perspective you want to look at that from. Because are you saying like parties like the BNP are like a worry to national security, or are you saying parties like the SNP are a worry to national security? I think for the most part I disagree with that, but I don't really know what it means, so I'll just disagree. The military should be minimised as a purely defensive force and not deployed overseas. Strongly disagree, because you need to protect your interests in different ways, and that doesn't mean protecting your country, that means stopping potential uprisings in other countries, although I don't think that excessive military intervention is a good thing ever. So for this one, strongly disagree. National pride is nonsense. Strongly disagree. National pride is very important. Ethnic pride is just that bit more important, but national pride is definitely important. Classes are more divisive than nationalities. Definitely not. The class system is basically non-existent in this country. And nationalities, and by nationalities it means cultures, are very, very different. Like, I could easily integrate with a member of the upper class or a member of the lower class in this country, whereas I could not integrate with a fucking Muslim who lives in Saudi Arabia, who lives in a palace in Saudi Arabia. And that's not just because they're richer, but that's because their way of life is completely different from mine. So no, they're definitely not more divisive. Strongly disagree. Market forces will prevent corporations from damaging the environment. No, they definitely won't. I mean, you could look at the like, oh, people will stop buying from them, blah blah blah. People will stop. People will stop. I don't know. They'll stop supporting that. The market shares will go down, but it's like not really. So I don't know. I'm gonna say disagree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be traded on the real estate market. Yes, it fucking should. Everything's a commodity. You can't just say, like, you can't just fucking say you can't be able to buy land. That's bullshit. Everyone should be able. Yeah, land is a commodity, just like everything else. So, strongly disagree. Stock market speculation contributes nothing to society and so should not be rewarded. What are you basically saying, that people shouldn't be rewarded by other people who want to pay them for doing a job that you don't agree with? I think that's the implication there. So I'm gonna strongly disagree with that one. Delivering a profit to shareholders should be the only goal of a corporation. Well, I mean, from a business standpoint, yes, business has no ethics, but maybe not their only goal. But yeah, I agree with that one. I don't strongly disagree. I don't strongly agree, but I do agree. Alright, yeah, I'll agree. Sometimes the government must run a deficit in order to stimulate the economy. I mean, no, I don't think so. If the market is completely free and unregulated, then it will generate monopolies. Yes, of course it will. Because if it's completely free and unregulated, then like Coke will just own the fucking drink industry, McDonald's will own the fast food industries, Tesco and such will own the supermarket industries. That's just the way it works. Completely free. The thing about the free market, funnily enough, is the freer the market, the less free the sort of I don't know, the freer the market, the less free it actually is for small businesses to become popular. I don't know how to describe that, really. The freer the market, not the freer the people, is incorrect. So I'm gonna strongly agree. Multiculturalism is generally beneficial to society. No, it's not. I strongly disagree with that. Multiculturalism would be beneficial to society if that multiculturalism was solely on, again, if that multiculturalism was solely based on Western culture or Saudi culture or Middle Eastern culture, if you were in the Middle East, if that culture that you were mixing was either tolerant cultures or cultures that were also part of your overarching culture. So if everyone could be tolerant, then yes, multiculturalism would be an unqualified success, but that's just not true. So I strongly disagree. Schools should focus only on equipping students with the skills they need for jobs. Yeah, I strongly agree with that one. I think schools focus too much on arts and useless subjects like fucking PE and such. Strongly agree. The state should prevent those with serious inheritable disabilities from reproducing. Definitely. We've got enough Mongols in this world, we don't need more. The culture in my society is better than those in other cultures. Yeah, it is. In other countries even. Or countries, as it says here. Yeah, I strongly agree with that statement. Western culture is the best culture in the world. No broadcaster or media should receive public funding. Yeah, I strongly agree with that one. I've said that before. I don't think that any broadcasting media should be supported publicly, because then you end up with products that are incredibly biased, like the BBC. It's necessary to curb some civil liberties in order to prevent terrorism. Yeah, I think it is. I'm not a libertarian, I'm very much an authoritarian, so another one here, strongly agree. Serious crime should carry the death penalty. Yes, I strongly agree. Some people cannot be... I don't know, some people just don't learn. And some people, like child rapers and child killers, should face the ultimate punishment. Appropriate punishment for crime should be considered more important than rehabilitation. See, I don't think so, though. I don't think so on that one. I don't strongly disagree, but I definitely disagree. Because rehabilitation is more important than punishment. Mere punishment is pretty much useless. It's just a revenge tool. I mean, rehabilitation is more important than punishment. If the crime wasn't too bad, basically. Like if it was, I think that child rapers and child murderers should just die. I don't think they should be rehabilitated. I think they should be punished. Whereas I think people who commit anything else really should be rehabilitated when they should be punished. So I'll disagree with that one. The difference in salaries between a CEO and a worker accurately represents how valuable they are to society. Well, I mean, yeah, like the CEO gets paid more because they do more than the general worker. Like, if you work in a coffee shop and you're serving coffees, do you seriously think you deserve more money than the CEO of Starbucks? Like, you're mad. You're actually mental if you think that. I don't know if it really accurately represents how valuable they are to society. It seems like an oddly specific question, but I do think that their wages definitely represent how useful they are within that specific company. So, detracting from that point, I'll just say I strongly agree. The Pope is an important figure in society. I do think so, because I think he converts a lot of people to Catholicism, obviously, and he makes a lot of people believe. And I think Catholicism and Christianity is important as a controlling tool for the masses, since they need a set of moral and usually religious principles to guide them in life, because most people are amoral, degenerate, hedonistic pieces of shit nowadays, and religious morals are the only things that are really guiding people towards a good, proper path. So I'd say I agree that he's an important figure. All pornography should be illegal. I don't really care. I mean, well, yeah, actually, I think that's another one I'd probably agree on, because it's another thing that contributes to a degenerate society. So, yeah, I agree with that one, actually. Workers' unions are good for society. I think they're probably good for the lower class worker. I don't think they're good for society, though, so strongly disagree. Pardon me, I'm really sorry. Government laws should be made for the good of the majority of people, not minorities. Well, yeah, of course so. Of course that's true. Like, you don't ever make fucking majority decisions for the minority. Strongly agree. Most poor people are lazy. I read that last time as most people are lazy. I would agree, but I wouldn't strongly agree, because the only reason you're poor for multiple generations is because you're bad at handling money, / you have no ambition. Government surveillance is only a problem for criminals, not law-abiding citizens. I mean, it can be a bit annoying, but I do strongly agree. Workers would be better off without managers. No, I strongly disagree. I think that's a ludicrous statement. I think workers definitely need a... I don't know, they definitely need managers. I don't think that the means of production should belong to the workers who use them. So strongly disagree. Anyone can become a millionaire in our society if they work hard enough. I agree, but not strongly, because yes, if you have a good idea and you have a good marketing team and you have good connections that you've made yourself, then yeah, you can definitely become a millionaire. So agree. Religious instruction is a good way to teach children morals. Oh yes, again, for the same points I mentioned earlier. Strongly agree. A consumer boycott is more effective than government regulation of a faulty product. I definitely think so, because you look at products that that are deemed unworthy by the public because of some scandal, and then you look at their sales just plummet. So yeah, I strongly agree. Citizens' guns should be strictly regulated and controlled. Well, I suppose this is looking at it from a US perspective, in which case I strongly disagree. The gap between rich and poor in the United States is too large. Nah, I strongly disagree with that statement. They call it the 1% for a reason. We should be willing to make compromises with our ideological opponents. No. We should be willing to make compromises with some people, with people who have similar ideals, but our ideological opponents, make compromises with them? What, you mean compromise your entire integrity? Compromise everything you believe in? So I should be expected to lay down arms to our Muslim invaders? No. No, I'm all for tolerance and acceptance. I'm, however, not for making compromises with people you fundamentally disagree with. Compromises are good in some cases, but compromises with your ideological opponents are only just going to result in basically your opinions and your ideals being ground down and down. I think some societies should just be eradicated. I don't think we should compromise with them. So, strongly disagree. The existing societal and political system cannot be salvaged. Well, I don't believe in democracy anymore, or really capitalism, so yeah, I strongly agree. I'm flexible and willing to adjust my positions on issues. Yeah, I do think so. I think I am, considering I've changed my opinions a lot in the past year. We need to take direct action to change the structure of society. I don't think the structure is very important. That's probably like a class question, isn't it? I think our culture is the thing that's in danger. I don't think our class system really needs work, so I'll just disagree. My view on the world is objectively correct and supported by the facts. Some of it is. I don't think my view is objectively correct. I don't think any view can be objective, because it's kind of, it's like saying my opinion is right. No one's opinion is right, no one's opinion is wrong. But I do think that a lot of things I believe in are backed up by facts. So, I don't know, I'll just say unsure, I guess. Violent action can be justified in pursuit of political goals. I think there's almost no case in which violence can be accepted to pursue political goals. I'm completely against violence in politics, which is why I'm completely against Richard Spencer being punched, and also against that Antifa woman getting punched, because both of them is violence in order to put across a point. Well, not even a point, but just violence for the sake of violence. So, strongly disagree.